Good morning, happy Thursday. How are you feeling after that super intense full moon in Scorpio? So the moon is still in Scorpio, so you may still be really riding those energies. It may feel that you're very much in a transformative cocoon at the moment. You're in that kind of chrysalis where you're waiting to emerge as the new upgraded version of you. So if you are in that space, if you're feeling a lot of shadow coming up, or other people are projecting their shadow on you as well, just be super gentle with yourself for the next few days. Really take yourself into the weekend with a very gentle, very compassionate and caring energy, because there is a lot of brown stuff flying around, a lot of people flinging their shadow at other people. A lot of times, if we're doing the inner work, other people can reflect what we're going through and speak to us in words that perhaps not the kindest, but also really looking at your internal world, spending time with your heart, really aligning yourself to who you are in the now, but also the future you. How is the future you going to react? So full moons in Scorpio are super powerful. They often dredge up a lot. Now, I enjoy Scorpio season, I enjoy moons in Scorpio, but that doesn't still mean that I don't get sideswiped by energy or I don't feel into it. It was a very deep and potentially quite dark place where we can really use the poison of Scorpioness to transform, to alchemize all the stuff that we are going through at the moment. So there's a really nice bit of news this week in the fact that later on today, Mercuria will go out of her retrograde and she will go direct. And I was reflecting on this just while I was making a cup of tea before I came outside. And if you buy a certain brand of tea bags, you get a little message on your tea bag every day. And as I was making my tea, I was reading the message. And the message was, let your manners speak for yourself. And I thought that was a really perfectly timed message, a really good affirmation for us today, letting your manners speak for yourself. Now, that doesn't mean letting people get away with stuff, but it's about really dropping into our hearts and acting from our hearts and treating other people how we want to be treated ourselves. And the reason I say that is because Mercury retrograde in a fire sign can be quite harsh. We can be quite impulsive and compulsive in our words. We can often shoot from our hip, but also we have not always got the awareness of how our words are affecting another person. I've just got baby Robin arrived. Oh, so cute. We can be quite curt when Mercury is in retrograde. We can set a tone of an energy. So having been on the receiving end of a few really blunt and curt messages over the past few days, really reflecting on one, how you would react in that situation. So very much for me, it was dropping into my heart and going back with openness, with compassion, with forgiveness, and just being myself in my communications. So just being really compassionate to yourself in your communications, but also thinking about, especially with Mercury going direct, because there's that juddering kind of halt as the planet starts to make her way forward. And I can often find that that's when the real miscommunication can happen, when everything can go a little bit Pete-tong. So really think about what you're saying to other people. Really allowing your heart to speak for you, allowing your manners. It seems quite an old-fashioned way of describing it, isn't it? Let your manners speak for yourself. So how are you going to respond to people? How are you going to act? How are you going to feel when these emotions come up? If you receive a curt message or you're on social media and you've got really triggered, first and foremost is get off social media. I know you're watching me on social media, but stop reading the stuff that gets you really triggered. And then drop into your heart and speak with compassion. So let's not do some keyboard warrioring at the moment. Let's really just keep our manners positive, keep our interactions with other people from our hearts, and also making sure that we aren't being curt in our communication. So what I mean by that, it doesn't mean by asking and putting in a load of flowery language. It means putting the intention of love behind your words, speaking to someone with compassion. So it can still be a very short message. No, it can be a very compassionate answer, but it could just be, thank you for your message, how are you? This is my response to your message, rather than just going yes, no, or being really curt. So often many of us who are empaths, we pick up on the kind of the nuances of other people's message, and if you're hypersensitive or a little bit like me, you kind of read a little bit too much into it maybe, but actually just going back with compassion. So we've had a lot in this Mercury retrograde. It might be that people have come up from our past, but we have to have a very strong, very compassionate boundary. It may be that we've not spoken to friends during Mercury retrograde, and sometimes that's quite nice because it gives us a break. It allows us to really reflect on our interactions, but then it means that we can pick up friendships and we can be really kind to the people who matter in our lives. So over the next few days, if someone's on your mind, send them a really nice, kind, compassionate message saying, you know, Mercury retrograde's over, how are you? How was it for you? How was that Scorpio full moon? So there's a lot going on, and with today we've got Jupiter and Urania. They're both at 22 degrees of Taurus, so it's not an exact by minute conjunction, but they're at the same degree. So we're still in that beautiful energy of the abundant maverick, I'm going to call it. So pushing yourself to do something totally different and allowing yourself to have a look, the expansion of Jupiteria, to drive you forward. So really sinking into that energy. We're going to feel it for another day or two as well before that moves on. So don't forget, it's setting the tone and the reverberation for the next 13 years. So it's not actually an instant day, this is it, day, it happens, that's it. It sets that tone of the energy. So really harness it for yourselves. And if you're in that place of mind space where you're in that, particularly if you know you've got Chiron in Taurus, really thinking about your self-worth, really thinking about your value, because you are truly important. So as we head into the weekend, we've got Mercuria going direct. So be kind, be compassionate in your interactions. Really nest if you need to in the Scorpio full moon. Reach out to people who can support you or support someone else who's having a little bit of a rough time. Harness that Jupiteria Urania conjunction for that fortune and be a bit of a maverick. But most of all, let your manners speak for you. Let yourself be deeply compassionate. Let yourself be the person that you want other people to treat you like. So you treat others as you want to be treated yourself, and if they can't reciprocate that, you just send them love and you just know that they're not aligned with your energy. So I am sending you so much love. If you are super interested in diving deep into your birth chart, it's coming into May. It's the beautiful season of Beltane next week. I forgot to mention that, so I'll talk about that a little bit next week as we come into the season of Beltane. But it's a really good time to get to know yourself, get to know who you are. So if you're interested in diving deep into your astrological birth chart, so looking at it from a goddess astrology perspective, I will pop the link in the comments below, and it'll be a real pleasure to read for you. So have the most beautiful Thursday. Be kind, be compassionate to yourself and to other people, and I'll see you on